Okay, to do this little popcorn trim, take 4 pegs from your flexee loom, and you find the stitches along the edge of your project. These are the slip stitches on the rows that I did on the slipper, and they tend to roll to the inside, so just pull them out where you can see them. And I'm going to start at the center back, and I'm going to try to find the best stitch to grab onto. So I'm just going to pull that one up and poke a peg through there. So pick up 4 stitches along that edge. You can use your hook if you need to, but slip stitches are usually a little bit longer, so they're easier to stick on there. Just do something, pick up stitches evenly along your project. Even if you didn't use slip stitch, you may have to skip a stitch every now and then. All right, so once I've got 4 of these stitches hung on these 4 pegs, then I take my yarn, whatever color you're going to be doing, it can be anything. I think a little furry yarn would look cute there too, but you just start knitting, and I want to end up on the right every time, so I'm going to start on the right. So normally I would do a slip stitch. Let me do that because it might anchor it a little bit better. I don't usually like to start with a slip stitch. All right, so I'll start knitting these other 3. Well, I have to do that one too. All right, do all 4 of them. And we're going to knit 4 rows and end on the right. So that's row 1. 2. 3. And 4. This goes pretty fast, especially on those tiny slippers. So if you don't know how to crochet, this is a great way to just put it back on your loom. Now you can go a little bit taller with that if you want to. I was knitting a little tightly, so it could go a little taller, so just up to you how poofy you want your little popcorns. All right, so what we do now is we take these 2 stitches and we move them in order. You could do a cable cross all the way across the top of your slipper too. I haven't tried that yet, but I think it'd be pretty easy to do. Probably do 6 rows and then cross them, but I'm just going to move them in order all the way to the left. And then I'll tighten that up in a minute. So now they're sharing 2 pegs, and I'll just snug those up to where the stitches are even. And then I take this link off, move it to the other side, grab a couple more stitches. This one's already been used, the one that's stretched out. You can see the stitch going in it. So go to the next 2. Make sure your grooves are facing out. I keep splitting that stitch. Link them back together. Do 4 more rows. Same thing over and over and over again. And they start leaning to the left, and or whichever direction you're knitting. And they're connected all the way around. So what I did on this one, I knit from the center back all the way to the other side, and then I bound off 4 stitches instead of the 2. When I got to the last one, I didn't cross them over. I left them on the pegs, I bound them off, and then I used the tail to sew the center back seam. So let me do one more of these. So you knit 4 rows. think this would also be a good way to keep the edge of an Afghan or something like that from rolling. You'd add this little trim and it would give some stability to the edge. So that's my 4 rows. So it's time to transfer my stitches over all the way to the left and then resize those stitches to where they're neat. Take a link off, pick up the next 2, and start the process all over again. So we're just leapfrogging all the way across the slipper or the trim here, and you can poof these out a little more after you get it off of the loom, and that's all there is to it.